Welcome from Switzerland. Welcome to the Broncolo studio. Connected with us today from a different studio in Berlin is Nils Wilbert. Thank you very much, Nils, for accepting the invitation. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to everyone.
I just said you are from Berlin, connected with us, and just as a start, how long are you shooting? How did you get into photography?
My way into photography was actually not really something that I planned. It was a long way. So we take a trip down memory lane quickly. So I never considered photography as a real job. I didn't even know that existed. Actually thought I would go to university and study something, but I was not very keen on school. So I dropped out with 17 from school. Luckily, my parents were really supportive of that, but they told me right away, okay, listen, it's fine that you do go to your university, but you're not going to sit at home and do nothing. You have to figure out what you actually want to do in life. So I started my journey of internships. So I started doing internships on a construction site. I stayed there for a couple of months, figured out, okay, that's not my thing. Let's move on. Went to a carpenter, stayed there for some time. Was really interesting. Didn't click. So moved on again. I was doing an internship as a chef because at this time I thought, oh yeah, it seems like a really cool job and made a lot of fun. But the working hours were not my thing. It's really tough. It's really tough work in general. And then I got an internship as a photographer in a commercial and advertising studio. And it was a really big studio, 10,000 square meters with his own workshop to build sets and props and stuff like this. And I really liked being involved in designing, building sets, setting the light for the setups, getting a mood that I was looking for, and then doing the retouch in the end in Photoshop. And this was like a really nice combination of craftsmanship and art, and kind of fell in love with it. Started doing my traineeship in Germany for 3 years, stayed on as a photographer for 2 more years. And then I said, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna start my own thing now, and now I'm 13 years self-employed.
Okay, very good. So no, let's say organized school or apprenticeship. So you just by assisting, by internships, you learned your stuff.
No, photography. I stayed actually in the company and did a traineeship. So for people who do not know, a traineeship in Germany, you stay, you work in the company, you're full-time working in the company. You have, I think, once or twice like school as well a week.
Okay.
Where you learn the theoretical stuff, and after 3 years, your traineeship is done, and you get a certificate, and you become a photographer.
All right. Okay. So what you can say in German, it's a Berufslehre.
Exactly.
Is that it?
Ausbildung.
Okay. Exactly. I made pretty much the same thing, but I took me 4 years until I get a certificate. Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Well, this is about the story. Can you give us an overview about your work? What are you shooting now?
Yeah, of course. So I'm gonna share this with you. It's a lot, so we get not overwhelmed. Who don't know my work? I mainly focus on product photography. Like including cosmetics, beverages, as well as some food stuff and jewelries in there as well. And I photograph a lot of e-commerce as well. Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, if you can go 1 or 2 pictures back. Okay, yeah, actually here we all see it.
Which one?
One more. Yep, this one maybe.
This one.
We saw it as well with the beverages. I see it here as well. And I see it, I printed the PDF you sent us. I printed it here. What I see as a element that's coming back regularly are these razor sharp shadows. Sometimes with high contrast, sometimes just with lower contrast, but still or always kind of a very sharp edged shadows. Is it a secret, or can you share this? How you achieve these shadows?
Yeah, of course I can tell you about that. It's no problem. So I think it's almost a trend again to have like really long shadows, but I like really high contrast in photos. So what I actually do is, I mean, you can see it in the setup behind me as well here on the right. It's a bare bulb. I don't have any reflector on it. But what I do as well is, if you have to imagine like this, so you have the flash tube, which is basically sitting like this, and you have a full circle of light. But But what I do instead is I turn the flash tube sideways. So I have only one side of the flash that is actually hitting the product. And then I get a slightly sharper or like a really sharp shadow instead.
Exactly.
Instead of having any reflector.
So when I understand you right, as seen from the product, you just minimize the size of the visible flash tube to get to limit the size of the light source and to get sharper shadows like this.
Exactly. So the smaller the light source is, the harder the shadow is gonna get.
Okay, and then when I see the position of your light behind you, the bare bulb that is even directed away from the object, but what I see as well behind you is white walls, probably as well a white ceiling. So but in the example just below, you have black shadows.
Yeah. So basically, obviously my whole studio is entirely white. So if I'm working, like, you're gonna get a lot of reflections. So what I do instead, I have other tripods, and I have like basically black curtains that are just gonna pull up so that the room is actually dark and the light doesn't bounce around in the entire studio. So I get a little bit more control of that. Okay, I see. Right. Okay, sorry for instantly jumping into lighting stuff and the pictures, but let's say you offer more than just photography. On your website, I can read the following quote: "We specialized in exceptional product photography." Yes, we have seen this. "That shapes brands." I think these three words are very, very important. So you think further, you go more into the direction, you try to help your clients more. Can you do some words about this? So basically, over the last year, I realized a lot of times that clients, brands, people actually approaching me, and they come intentionally, they want to have photos, but a lot of times it happened as well that there was not a clear idea behind it, what they actually wanted, or or I thought, okay, this doesn't really work with the brand identity. So I started working with clients as well, creating a better concept that actually works with the brand or the company, that aligns a little better with it. And we made like fine adjustments until the client and we were both thought, okay, this looks like, this is the way it should look like I like. And obviously a lot of times as well, if you have a shoot where you need certain props, you need a setup and stuff like this, then instead of sending the client, sending him somewhere else and say, hey, okay, you find the props now, you're going to find someone who's going to build the setup or find the location to shoot at. I rather said, you know what, let's do everything in one house. So the client doesn't have to go everywhere else to multiple people and start controlling a project. And I rather do everything together and organize it so that the client basically can just focus on that and comes to me for all the parts of the project. Okay, sounds very cool, and as well somewhat more entertaining for you because you have different approaches and different works in the end to do more conceptual, or then really at the end really hardcore photography back in the studio. Yeah, it depends a little bit. Like sometimes you have like very clear ideas and where it should go, but it happens obviously as well that they're not sure, and then at least you can offer it. And so I thought I should list it as well, that clients actually know, okay, I can help you with more than just the photography. Okay, great. If it's okay for you, Nils, there are already some questions coming in. If it's okay, we just integrate this in our talk, because obviously it's just about what we talk about as well. So there's a question from Claude Bossel. By the way, Claude Bossel, we interviewed him like 2 months ago, or even a little bit more. I think he was one of the first photographers we interviewed with this kind of external webinars. He is an amazing watches photographer and jewelry photographer. You can see all the webinars that we ever broadcasted as on YouTube, the recordings. Just look there for Broncolor webinars, re-watch, something like this it's called. You will certainly find these, and you will get a very, very interesting insights into watches photography with Claude, who is asking the following question: have you noticed a decrease in jobs in your area expertise because of the use of CGI or AI? Well, the AI, a lot of it's like, obviously, it's coming up. It's getting better and better. But so far, actually, haven't had too many problems with that. I'd say, because the clients that I'm looking for most of the time, or I'm working with most of the time, have like products that are very unique. So I can't just give, or at least I haven't found like a good way yet to use a product photo on a white background and integrate it with AI to get a photo that I'm actually happy with. And there's still a lot of limitations. So I would say rather I like less problems, less decrease in certain concerns on an AI. And CGI is still like quite expensive. So sometimes it's just a seasonal product. It runs only for 1 year, and CGI is still quite expensive compared to photography, I'd say. So
okay, it doesn't affect you too much. I think that's very good
not
news
too
for
much.
the younger photographers. I'm old enough, I'm not too long in the industry anymore. But for young photographers like you, I think that's very good news that it's not affecting all areas of our job. Great. So yeah, we just talked about this. So you offer this creative strategy development in cooperation with your client, production setup and planning, photo and video. Maybe we come to the video part a little bit later on as well, and post-production. So the post-production as well is strictly in-house. It's all done by Nils, or do you have external help? How does this look?
So it depends. I do most of my retouching as well myself. But obviously it depends a little bit. Like, do you have a lot of projects lined up? What are the deadlines? And depending on that, I actually decide if I should get a freelancer instead, or a retoucher who's actually handling the job, or is it actually? I would say I'm quite good in Photoshop, but a retoucher must be even better than me. So depending what the job is what the requirements are, I say, okay, you know what? I'd rather outsource that, give it to someone who's actually a specialist in his field, to get the photo that we're actually looking for.
Okay. But most of the jobs you do yourself.
Most of my jobs I do myself, yeah.
Okay. Is this generally like this? Is it like a NW Studios, like a Nils Wilbert Studios? Is this a one-man show? Do you have internships? Do you have fixed assistants? Do you have even employees? Or is this according to the job that you hire on a daily basis if you need help?
So now it's actually a one-man show. Before my wife was still working in my company, who took a lot of care, like part of the strategy development and research and account management. But I have two children now, we have 2 children now. So my wife took over and said, you know what, I'd rather focus on the children. And so I rather hire freelancers now in case I need a helping hand, because it allows me just to be more flexible. It's just more project-based instead of having someone full-time employed in the company.
Okay, I see. Okay, I'm sorry for this, but we are jumping forward and backward a little bit. But now there's a question coming in, actually kind of covering the 2 subjects we already talked about, which is retouching and light shaping. In case of, it's a question that comes in from Roberto. In case of shiny products, using bare bulk creates long shadows, but of course you will get very, very dominant highlights because the light is unbelievable hard, and on shiny objects it will just be completely burned out. Do you accept these reflections? Do you remove them in Photoshop? Roberto asks if you use cross polarization, which is probably changing the colors. You're very sensitive on colors. I think this is not the solution. So how do you deal with this shiny objects and your razor sharp lights?
Well, a lot of times actually, yeah, it's like I said, a lot you can't always just put a hard light on, like for a ring, from really a glossy ring. So what we do there, we actually do like a double exposure in some way. We actually we take a photo with bare bulb to get the hard shadow. But in the end, I add another reflector on top, and I have to do a second shot to get like to make a little bit matte and that you don't see the hard reflex necessary. Sometimes the reflex is nice. You actually have to see how can you actually combine the photos that you kind of still get the hot spot from the flash tube or the shine in the ring. But it's most of the time we do it in Photoshop in the end.
Okay, good. Thanks for this. Your English is very good. I'm very embarrassed with my Swiss English, and but you're based in Berlin, but your website is in English. You're fluent perfectly in English when you speak. And do you have a lot of international clients? Being in Berlin, why English website?
So I basically my English is good because my wife talks only in English, just to say that. Okay. But international clients not so much. But when I created my website, I actually wanted to build it for the broader audience. You never know who knocks on your door. So my main reason was actually, okay, let's start it in English. It's basically, anyways, just a main page which is in English. There are other landing pages for example, if I'm advertising somewhere in Google and someone's searching in German, he will get directed as well to a German landing page. So, but the main page is just in English.
I see. Okay. Good. I'm in the mood to see some more pictures of you. If you would like to show us a little bit more and maybe tell about this or that job.
So let's see what we got there. Just tell me where I should stop. It's like a random mix that I actually do, but I like the variety of products, so I have a little bit of everything. Actually, I specialize in product. I do not so much model shots, but of their clients who have stuff that need to be shot on a model. So I say, okay, let's do it as well. This was like, for example, I haven't shot this photo in my studio. I had it built somewhere else because was quite large. Was for VW, for a football club. More toothbrushes. There's as well some e-commerce now is starting. It's like a lot of times clients actually approach me. They're either looking just for moods. Sometimes it's e-commerce stuff as well, and basically it's a combination in the end. So we combine jobs to showcase the products.
So you exactly like in this situation, you cover both. You cover the moody picture, but as well then the clean e-commerce shot.
Exactly. So a client is approaching me and basically is looking for some e-commerce shots of his new product, but he also wants to promote the product on multiple channels. I don't know if it's a campaign, if it's for social media or something like this, or just a website. And then we discuss which photos are the most important, which have a priority. Most of the time, it's actually the online shops, e-commerce photos, which have a higher priority, so they can actually start uploading the stuff to their website or the press or wherever they want to release it. And then the next step, we take the mood shots that they can start advertising with it.
Okay. Can you estimate, let's say, the workload over a year because of the conceptual work, your still life photography with moods and your e-commerce? How important is e-commerce? What percentage? And is it increasing or is it going down? Is it stable? So a rough estimation.
It's quite stable. Like it's difficult to say. So most of the companies that I work with actually they do a lot of need the e-commerce photos. So it's quite the same, I'd say. Maybe e-commerce is even a little bit more because it's changing even faster. But yeah, it's like I have really regular clients who come over because they have new products that they need, new e-commerce photos. Sometimes, let's say this toothbrush, the toothbrush might be the same, just a different color. We do not always necessarily take a new mood shot for that, for advertising, because it's maybe just a different color.
Okay, cool. Just for personal interest, we jumped over it quite fast. A couple of pictures back, I guess just 2 or 3 back, there was this jewelry on white paper, and this was gold. Yep, I think this one. That's a question that always comes back to me when I do lighting seminars. It's this to find the right bridge light-wise. The gold needs more like soft light because you need the gradations with diffusers, but then the stones need a brilliant crispy light. Is this again, would you prefer to take like 2 shots and combine them, or do you have like the Nils Wilbert secret recipe to get this done in 1 shot? Because I haven't.
Yeah. So the thing is, if I photograph it, the aim would always be to get it done in 1 shot. That would be the aim, but like sometimes it's just not possible. Like for example, with jewelry, it's not. I cannot set I need a. For example, if I have a stone and I need a really hard light, but I cannot go close enough with the light source, and then because I might miss the reflector, the softness of the material, I do not always have a chance. Sometimes I have to take 2 photos and combine them. So it's a lot of times it's a mix, but the aim would actually be get everything done in 1 shot. But then you always sometimes you have to think as well, is it cheaper to get it done in 1 shot, or is it easier to fix in post? Because the client is paying in the end for both of it. So you have to kind of like see what fits better.
Okay, I see. Yeah. But I'm happy that you don't have, that's very easy, Urs, just do it like this.
No,
and this. So,
no, it's not.
I was hoping for this, but okay. I haven't done it completely wrong then in my last 30 years. A very tricky question. We discussed this as well at the beginning when we had the pre-talk for this webinar. If you prefer not to answer, you just let us know. But Andrew, he wants to know a lot about your business. How do you find your clients? Do you work with an agent, or do you search the clients yourself? I think this is still okay. Can you give us some insights on your marketing routine? And last but not least, maybe even some pricing ideas?
Oh, it's always a tough ride.
Yes, I know.
So I don't have an agent. Sometimes I think it would be nice to have an agent, just to work with maybe bigger brands. But at the moment, I basically do everything myself. So I did a lot of advertising on Google. I was running Google AdWords for some time, which works quite well as well. But it's tricky because you can lose a lot of money in Google AdWords as well if it's not done right. At one point as well, maybe if you move in a price segment, it's people not gonna approach you anymore either, because it's not, doesn't make sense anymore to advertise on Google, because if you, I don't know, if you have a day rate for I don't know how many €1,000 and he's just looking for taking 5 photos or something like this, it might be over budget for him. So but I did a lot of Google AdWords for the longest time. Now I actually have to go back to cold calling, cold emails, and just get the foot into the door, and to be on the radar of people, of agencies and stuff like that. So I have more the approach to actually contact them right away, rather tell them, okay, here's my portfolio. If you ever need someone, let me know. That's the approach to how I do my marketing. Well, about pricing, I'm actually not very comfortable to talk about. It's like, I know it's extremely difficult with pricing, and I think even I struggle with the pricing sometimes.
Okay.
It's like you actually have to see like what you like do. I do basically would say do a lot of online research. That's my main thing. I know it's confusing to figure out how much to charge, but there are a lot of other photographers online, a lot of sources where it actually kind of gives you a rough idea where you should start pricing, and that's the approach I would use.
Okay, good. No, I think that's fair enough. Not to talk absolutely open and give numbers here. So that's thank you very much anyway for the behind you, we see, it looks like a normal apartment. Is this right? But it's not the place you live in. You shoot in an apartment, but you live somewhere else. How is this organized?
Yeah, kind of. So if you think about a photo studio, I don't know, if I would think about a photo studio, I would say an industrial loft or something like really high ceilings. But like if you might know, it's really tough to find something like this. So I have some photos as well that I can show you of my studio. It's rather in the end of the presentation.
Okay.
So you get a clear idea. Yes, it's an apartment, or the person who used to live here.
Okay.
She was working and living in this flat, but it's basically I use it as a photo studio. Ceilings are high enough, 3.20 meter high ceilings. I have like on one side basically of the room, I have like a lot of space where I do mainly my setups. On my photo shoots, I'm able to build like 2 smaller sets there if need be. On one side, it's like obviously a long table. If I have clients over, they can sit on the table, work a little bit there, have a little couch area to relax, come down, and as well I have a full kitchen in case we ever need some preparations for food shoots or something like this. But it's more or less, it's an apartment. I can darken it fully though, have another small room, which is basically completely dark in case I just have to do photoshopping.
Okay, nice. And you have beautiful daylight. Well, my studio has just 2 small windows over there, but when I switch off the lights, I'm pretty much in the black, which I like because I kind of hate the natural light because it's not under control. But it looks like as if you have beautiful daylight in your studio. Do you use this as well?
No, I never do. I don't rely on daylight whatsoever. It's I don't have any control over daylight. If it's sunny and then it's cloudy, so I rather just rely on my flash. So
I love that you say this because I think I'm the only one who can't deal with the sun. Yeah, but
no, it's a product photographer thing probably. When I did my traineeship, I was basically working in a tin box. There was no light whatsoever. It's just steel everywhere. So I would choose that any day as well.
I was 1 week I was working in Denmark, entire week. It was winter, Denmark, and I was working in a black painted studio. And this goes too far even for me, because you go in the studio at 8 o'clock in the morning in Denmark. In winter, it's black. You work until 8, you go until 5, you go out, it's again black. So this is kind of depressing. It was okay for this week, of course, light-wise, everything wonderful, under control, but it's just too much. Yeah.
It is. It gets a little bit frustrating.
It gets frustrating, yes. Okay, so never again. My studio is average gray, which I think makes a lot of sense. I can work a little bit indirectly if I need a diffused whatever light, but as well I can work with rather high contrast. Yeah, very cool. Yes. Behind you, you clicked the pictures away, so we see a little bit more of your studio.
Yes.
Okay, you can leave it. It's okay.
Okay, sorry.
What a little bit of Broncolor talk anyway. I mean, it's a Broncolor webinar. So what are you using? I see blue handle. I see a Scoro on the left down. I see pull Unilight probably and strip light shape softboxes.
Exactly.
But so, I know that you have some Pico lights around as well. So what is your equipment?
So I use, I think I'm working with only Broncolor flash now for I think about 6 years. I have the Scoro. I have the what is it? Is it a Pulsar?
I think it's very round. I think it's a Unilight.
Yeah, there's a Pulsar G.
Exactly.
Then I have the Unilight. I have 3 Pico lights, which come in super handy because I don't know if you know how small they are. You can go basically any setup.
They are the size of a Coca-Cola of a tin. Yeah,
exactly. They're just super tiny. It's like amazing. And as well, if you have to work out some details, you can just slide the lamp in somehow. Otherwise, I have another generator. I think it's a Primo, is it that one?
The Primo, yes.
Yeah, an older one, 3000, but with 3200 watts. So if I ever have to shoot bare bulb, and then I turned up full power because I need a lot of power with a bare bulb. At least then it's more, I believe it's more color accurate, because if I dim it down, it might change the colors ever so slightly. So I use that mainly if I have to shoot in a really high power. I use the Primo generator. Otherwise, I still have 6 zeros, 800S, and multiple light modifiers for all of it.
Okay. Just give me a second, because what you mentioned is actually quite interesting and it's forgotten sometimes. So the older Broncolor power packs and as well compact units, they adjust the power by different voltages. So if you go down with the power, you just take the voltage in the capacitors down, and the result is a slightly warmer light because you are missing this high energy boost at the beginning of the flash curve. Now, nowadays, the Scoro behind you has 9 f-stops of power range. The latest power packs, they have, I think, 11 or 12 f-stops of power range from 3,200 joules all the way down to 1 joule. And there, of course, we can't accept any color temperature shift because we would have a color temperature shift from high to low power of more than 1,000 Kelvin. And for somebody who works as precisely as you, of course, it's completely an absolute no-go. So that's why it makes a lot of sense. What you actually do, that you use the Primo at full power, because at full power it has exactly the same color temperature as your Scoro, and you use for the more precise work, use the Scoro. So this is just a little bit of technical insights aside. There's a compliment coming in from you. I really like Nils' photography style. And but he wants, could you please give more jewelry and gem product work if possible? Can you invest a minute or two to talk a little bit more about maybe your sets and your secrets of jewelry photography?
Sure. Just jump into the presentation one more time.
Please. Yes.
Let's see where we go. And with jewelry, let's see. Let's go to. I know it's a lot.
They're coming soon.
Where we are. Let's say
we love to see
watches. Pictures. Watches, right?
Watches and jewelry.
Watches and jewelry is very is always a tricky part. So as well, you need what I use most of the time if I actually have to photograph jewelry is, and I love the pico lights there because they give me a lot of control over it, and they're really small because a lot of times we have small modifiers that actually have to place in between or do different cardboards to get bounce light indirectly on it. So most of the time, for the really fine details, I always jump back to smaller lights, so a pico light. And for the broader picture, I choose broader light. I jump on other light sources to actually take the photo. What should I tell you about jewelry? What do you actually want to know? It's tricky. It's difficult to share the secrets.
Maybe you can say some things that makes it less tricky. Is there something like a general setup? I mean, from my point of view, what I always I set up the camera first, and I put the product in more or less the right position, and then in 90% I start with a diffuser. Can be an architect paper or can be an acrylic plate, and make sure that the shiny parts are looking all right. And from then on I start. So, but this is I start work on the details. But this is kind of like the standard procedure for something like this.
Exactly. So you have you obviously have to clean the watches or the jewelry, put it in place, and then you start with setting up first the bright, the main setup, and then you add the details in the end to of it.
Exactly.
But that's how it's done. It's like I said, it's really difficult. Retouching is a lot of work with jewelry as well, depending the look that you're looking for.
I understand. What helps me sometimes, let's say as well with the watches or as well with rings, sometimes you end up with too many diffusers, because I would like to have a little bit of light there, a little bit of light there, a little bit of light there, and in the end, these diffusers, they are there's too much light bouncing in between the diffusers, so that every gradation by itself looks great, but then there's so much interference between them because these are all the tiny sets, so they influence each other. So what helps me a lot of time is that I take diffusers away, shoot the left one, then I change, put in the right diffuser, shoot again, or maybe I just cover them up with a black paper so that I can avoid this interference between the diffusers. This is something that actually helps quite a lot, especially in if you don't move the product, if you don't move the camera. It's a very, even for me, I'm not as good in Photoshop as you are, but if you don't move a thing, it's very easy to combine later on 2 or 3 exposures very simply in Photoshop.
Exactly.
This,
so
again,
sorry.
this again goes in direction of being able to work with soft lights at the same time with nicely controlled shadows.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something I didn't mention before. So like it's like for my photography, a tripod is extremely important. So you can see it here as well. I have like I think it's from Foba. It's like the massive salon stand, I think it's called, or something like this.
Yeah.
And it's super heavy, but it stands in place. It's like, it doesn't move at all. And for my photographer, it's really important because if you have to take another shot without a certain reflector or whatsoever, and make sure that you combine the photos easily in Photoshop.
Exactly. Quick question, logistically, can you read the questions yourself, Nils? There's a long one coming in from Stefano. Would you mind taking care of this?
Yes, of course. Let's take a look. So from Stefano, when you finish a shot from capture to post-production, do you ever look back at it and feel like you could have done something better? Or maybe when you see other photographers' work, do you feel inspired to keep improving, or are you usually pretty confident in your own style and results? Well, there have been a lot of times when I finished a project and I will look at it later again, that I'm like, maybe you should have done that differently. Like you're not always 100, like I think there's always something that when you look at it long enough, you always find something where you think, okay, maybe I should change that. But it's too late anyways then. But if you have a project again, you might integrate that. You learn from it. So of course there are moments when I'm like, it could have maybe been better, but in general, I'm like, I'm confident that my work, I did my best at the moment. I generally do not give work out that I'm not, I don't back, if I don't back it up, I will not release it. I rather say, I'm not happy. I need to do it again. It's like, I just do not, that's kind of like my mind setting of it. And looking at other photographers, of course, I look at there's so many talented photographers out there, and I look at it and I think, oh man, this looks fantastic. And you get inspired. And some things I think as well, if you want to get a certain look, just copy it. It's like it's not a negative thing, but if you want to approach something and you want to know how to work in a certain style, then you kind of not copy it, but imitate it, which is like, it's like, even if you imitate a certain photographer, you should be kind of honored because, well, you just triggered my inspiration. I want to do something like that, and that's how I see it.
No, I agree absolutely. I teach sometimes at high schools or universities photography, and sometimes the students come to me and show me a photograph, and they say, "Is it okay? Like, is it good enough?" And I think in photography, there's just not good enough. So either it's perfect or it's not good. And I think you have to be very honest, because you work hours and hours and hours on this watches shot. You know every pixel by heart, and maybe you could hide something from the client. Maybe the client wouldn't even realize that it's not 100%, but you see it. And I think that this honesty with yourself as a creator, that you only give a result that's up to you at the moment, 100%. This is an absolute must. If you think, I'm not really sure, but maybe the client doesn't see it, I think this is very, very bad. Interesting, because when does this change? I do the same like you, because when I give a picture away, it's only when I see, okay, that's all I can do today. There's nothing what I can do better today. But then I would have to say maybe a year or 2 years later, when I look at the same shot that I have been very proud of, let's say at the day, 2 years later, maybe because I'm involving my style, it must not be better, but because I maybe shoot differently, I said, okay, maybe I should take this out of my portfolio. So when does this change? Because you said as well that later, if you look at the photographs, you think that you might have been doing something else. When does this later start? Is this the next day, or is it 2 years?
Well, I don't know. It's like you're always evolving, right? So something doesn't, I don't know. It's just you look at it at one point and then you just, like you said, it's like something just changed. Maybe your style changed. Maybe you all of a sudden it doesn't fit into the work that you're presenting anymore. So it's different. Sometimes it can happen very fast. Sometimes I think even though photos that I've done multiple years ago, I think still, this looks still really good. I'm still very happy with it. So it doesn't happen. I would not say it doesn't happen very quickly, but it does happen at times as well.
It does happen over time, sure. I think it has to, because you're involving. And what you think that today is good, maybe in 2030 is not that good anymore.
Yeah, or there's sometimes the style is as well evolving, generally photography style, right? It's like there's always some kind of trend as well. At least that's how I see it. For example, with the hard lights, I see hard lights everywhere at the moment. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm looking at it, but it's almost like it's like a style at the moment. So
exactly,
at one point it's not in style anymore, and then you're gonna adjust as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have been talking about the future. When you think that you should change your style, there is a question about the future. Obviously, it's like a question we had earlier, something that really bothers us, photographer. What about the future? In 5 years, will brands still need photographers? Do they still need us? Or just prompts and mid-journey subscription?
Yeah, well, it's the worry of every photographer, right? Like, I see it this way. There are some things that, like I said, some products are very unique. When the brand creates something, it's not just like, let's take even something really simple, like classes, something like this. If I type in, even if my prompt is really good for sunglass photo, it's still not going to be the sunglasses that actually my client created. Of course, AI will evolve in that as well, that you maybe feed it some photos. I think it's like, I see it a little bit like as well, like analog photography and digital photography. We're evolving as well. The job is moving in a different direction. You can kind of see AI as your enemy, or you make actually use of it and actually start already now. How can I actually start integrating it? Well, I provide a service. I can do pack shots, and then all of a sudden it works really well to do mood shots with AI. Well, why not use it? It's like you can give the client all of a sudden way bigger range of photos, and you're way more flexible as well. And so your job actually is gonna start moving in ever so slightly different direction. AI is not as easily as you think. You still have you need to prompt properly. There are limitations with resolution. Obviously, this might resolve at one point, but I do not know where we're gonna go. But we have to move in the same direction as well. We're gonna have to move with it.
All right, absolutely. You said before that you take it as a compliment if some photographers imitate your style. They look at your photographs, they try to get the same mood. On the other side, you are providing as well creative concepts for your clients. And now where do you get the inspiration? I mean, you have to go, I guess, you have to go online as well and look at different styles. How do you approach this? How do you get your inspirations, your visual concepts from?
Yes, of course, I have to go online as well and get inspired. You can get inspired a lot of of random stuff as well, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be photography. But if a client actually approaching me and he wants to go in certain directions, I will first kind of figure out which direction we're going to go. So I'm maybe going to make a small mood board that'll ever different. Let's just say, for example, we're going to do one with hard shadows, really crisp, funky angles or something like this, and something more softer light, and I don't know, just flat lace or something like this, and you're gonna figure out which direction you want to go. But obviously, I'm gonna get inspired on stuff that I see online and what other people did, what other brands did, because a lot of times brands actually compare themselves as well to other brands.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm gonna look up, and so I'll ask a lot of times as well, okay, if you want to launch this, are there any competitors that you actually look up to, where you like directions, or like, because I don't know, the brand they're looking up to is actually it's high end and very luxurious. So we have to figure that out, and on that we can basically decide the direction as well and the photos where we want to go.
Okay, perfect. Just something I wrote down before as well from personal interest, coming back to the shadows or coming back to pico lights. A technique that I use as well to get sharp and high contrast shadows are actually the pico light. That I don't only use the pico light, let's say, to illuminate with the breaking attachment a certain area, but as well, let's say, to illuminate in general the entire area. But with this very limited light angle, you don't have any indirect light from the walls. Is this a technique you use as well, or is it always this bare bulb and then increasing the contrast?
It's not always. I used to do that as well with the pico lights a lot of times, but I feel like the result is ever so slightly different. Even though the pico light source, the flash tube sits in the casing way further back. If you like, I don't know, at least like 4 centimeters maybe. So you're gonna have a really small light source. But sometimes I still feel like, okay, I get a better shadow if I use a different light source. As well, if I use the open bare bulb, you can prevent this a little bit as well. I saw as well, you could basically, if you have, again, your flash tube from the side, build a crazy constructions that you said, okay, I'm gonna foil the whole thing with something black so that it doesn't actually just moves in one direction. That's an option as well. It's not here, but I used to do it with pico lights as well. It worked really well as well. I switch a little bit. It's like, depends on the light source that I actually need. If I actually need the pulsar and I just have a pico light, I'm gonna use the pico light. It's like, depends a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I know it goes too far, but nevertheless, I was playing once in the studio as well, and I had a very, very fine structured object, really almost like hair, and I wanted to create, let's say, like a shadow of a hair, and there even the pico light was way too soft, bare bulb was way too soft, and I used actually a snoot, which is kind of already reducing some of the indirect light. And then I used the reflection from the snoot on the convex side of a soup spoon.
Okay.
Of course, I had to flash like 10 times because the light was going everywhere. A terrible loss of light quantity, but the light quality was excellent. You get super razor sharp shadows, even of the tiniest little detail. But then believe me, I took all the black curtains, all the black paper was hanging somewhere to increase the contrast. Otherwise, you have razor sharp shadows, but you don't see them because you have like 99% of the light is indirect. The last question I would like to ask you, Nils, and one more thing about questions. If you have more questions for Nils, it's now the moment because we are coming to an end in a couple of minutes. If you have a question for Nils, use the chat on the right side of your windows and ask him. We will have one final round of Q&As at the very end. Video. Nils, you said you would like to push this a little bit. And what is the vision you have there?
So the thing is, a lot of times now when I get requests, it's kind of like it's photo, but they always come with video. So there seems to be like a really high demand for it as well. To be clear, I'm a photographer. I'm not a video photographer. So what I actually will do, or what I offer as well, we can do it because we set up here anyways. But I rather get actually someone who's gonna operate the camera and who actually have more knowledge than me about it, because I actually don't want to put it on my plate. So I would take more the role of a director and do the light, because lighting stills, video, and photography is still pretty much, well, pretty similar, not necessarily the same, but it's very similar. And yeah, so I want to go into more video production as well. If you follow some other photographers online as well, you see as well that they don't only do photos anymore. It moves in very strongly in the video direction as well.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And this kind of rounds it up, because in this situation, again, you would hire external know-how to join you to get the best possible product. Is this
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Okay, good. From my point of view, it's pretty much it. I have no more. The list of the external questions are empty as well. Some famous last words from Berlin.
No famous last words from my side. I hope it was interesting enough, and I'm really glad to be here.
Also, certainly I enjoyed a lot, like all the preparation talks we had. I enjoyed these. I enjoyed today's live talk as well. So thank you very much, Nils, for your time, for sharing all your secrets, all your insights. As I said, I enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of interesting inputs coming in. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you guys for attending. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye. All the best.
Bye-bye.